I just moved the microphone because I don't need it. So, oh, sorry. Okay. Thank you for the presentation, Tina. Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation to take part in this conference here in Prague. It's my second time, and I'm here in this beautiful city. Yes, as Tina told you, I'm going to explain a little bit about how the Danish Deaf Association's view upon the current crisis management situation in Denmark for deaf people. Before I start, I'd just like to give you some background information about deaf people in Denmark and what the Danish Deaf Association is for sort of association. We have around 5,000 deaf people in Denmark. And 3,000 of them are a member of the Danish Deaf Association. Danish Deaf Association, the most important political issues is deaf rights and improve the accessibility for deaf people in the community. Our primary target is, well, we can say what's crucial to us is sign language, because sign language is our way of communication, it's our language. It's a way we can get in contact with other people. And the Danish Deaf Association having sign language as most important, the most crucial part, is because in this way we can get equality with the majority in the Danish society. And deaf people in Denmark regard themselves more as a linguistic minority instead of as a group of disabled people, because if we are together, deaf people together, we feel equal, all of us, because we all use sign language. We don't see any barriers. We don't have any communication problems, because in the deaf community we can speak to each other without any problems. But in relation to the majority, we can also have an interpreter, sign language interpreter, and then in that way we can be equal with others. So the most crucial part for us, the most crucial tool, what can I say, that's sign language interpreters and technical aids, which can equalize deaf people with the rest of the community. So we don't regard ourselves as disabled, but as a linguistic minority. Very short and a quick status on how the situation is in regard to crisis management in Denmark. The current situation, just going through the facts, and afterwards I give you the views from the Danish Deaf Association regarding the office we have in Denmark. Here's a list. You can see very short description of what deaf people in Denmark, their opportunities are in getting contact with emergency centers, crisis, help, whatever, in a case of catastrophe, if they need assistance. You have a list here. Here today, we can get in contact with emergency center through SMS. All deaf people, being a member of the Danish Deaf Association, receive on the back side of their member card. This is my member card for the Danish Deaf Association. On the back side of it, it's written down a number and also which information, how to get in contact with the emergency center by sending an SMS. If something happens, if there's a car crash or a traffic accident, and you on the highway have emergency phones, we have emergency phones along the highway, and if you open into the you can also get in contact with the emergency center, because it's possible for you to send an SMS from the phone booth. So if something happened on the highway and you have a traffic jam, you can use it to send an SMS from the phone booth to the emergency center. Third topic, if something happens, a serious catastrophe, and there's a siren warning, we have a siren warning system. Police go around in cars and give them information and telling people to stay in the house in case of catastrophe or something like that. So deaf people can also receive a warning through SMS. It just happened 2 days ago. We had a big storm coming through Denmark. I think Netherlands as well, part of the other parts of Europe also disturbed by the storm. And in this situation, the police sent out warnings, and the deaf people, all of us had SMS where we had to be aware where is the storm right now in Denmark, stay in house and so on. So, and it works very, very good. Next one. In acute situations, if you need to get in contact with medical care, you can send an SMS, but fortunately, it's only possible in the capital of Denmark, in Copenhagen. The other regions of Denmark hasn't this system yet, but Danish Deaf Association are trying, well, we are having contact with other regions of Denmark and in negotiations and getting them to have the SMS system as well. So we hope in future it's be possible for deaf people or other places in Denmark to get in contact with the emergency phone central. In need for psychiatric, psychological therapy, you can order a free sign language interpreter when you need to be with a psychologist. And regarding the payment, it's paid from the Ministry of Social Affairs. They are responsible for the interpreters in relation to health, so deaf people can order a free sign language interpreter when they go to a psychologist. Psychiatric treatment. Denmark has one group especially taking care of deaf people in psychiatric treatment, and it's only in the capital area. The rest of Denmark, they don't have any psychiatric treatments in sign language. And as far as I can remember, there are only 4 places, or 4 beds in psychiatric treatment. And right now it's full. People are on the waiting list to get into the psychiatric treatment. So the other cities around Denmark having deaf users for the psychiatrist usually send them to Copenhagen, but right now they're on the waiting list and they have to stay in their local psychiatric treatment. In acute situation, as I said before, you can order a sign language interpreter for free. That's short, running through what possibilities we have and that status is right now in Denmark. Now I'm going to tell a little bit about the Danish Deaf Association's view about the situation in Denmark right now, the services we have. And in fact, we find the services we have right now are quite good. They have very good intention, at least. The intentions are there, but if we just take a closer look at the services, then the practical access to the service, and they are not very user-friendly because there are barriers and it's not easy to use all the services. None of them, well, but quite few of them are sign language based. And you can't get in contact with the emergency services using sign language. You have to send text-based information on SMS. So, as I said, very little services, additional services based on sign language. Here we have what we see as challenges, problems regarding the service today. I told you a little bit about deaf people can send an SMS to the emergency central, and it's quite good. But everyone knows that if in acute situation where it's serious, you're in the accident, you are very influenced and you're not fully focused. And if you have to send an SMS and write it exact where you are, what is happening, and what the problem is, and describing and what you need the help for, everything, you have to think about this and sending it on a text message. It's a challenge for deaf people. Because the members of the Danish Deaf Association, we have had contact from some of our members telling that they see this as a hindrance. They feel it's too difficult to send an SMS. It would be a lot easier for them if they could use their mother tongue sign language. And right now with this situation, it explains you how to do it, but it's not so practical again. You have to tell who you are, you state your name, where you are, street name, the address, city, and then what has happened, a problem, heart disease, heart stop, attack, whatever. You have to send all the information, and it takes quite a long time to write this down on an SMS for deaf people. In Sweden, we have an EU project, just recently stopped, which was Reach 112, a project Sweden was a part of, France, Netherlands, I think. This project was the intention you could call 112 and using sign language through your cell phone. Get in contact with 112 through an interpreter. So you called up the interpreter, then the interpreter called the emergency center, which was very good, and Denmark has been inspired by this and want to have this established in Denmark as well in the future. The siren warning system, you have to register to get this warning through an SMS, and the registration process is very difficult. You have to fill out a form, you have to write, you have to documentate that you are deaf, and you're double-checked, is it true that you're a deaf person, so on. So the process takes quite a long time to register in this warning system. And what happens is a lot of deaf people, they tried to register, but because they find some problems and they have to do additional things, they tend to not do it. And then, in fact, it's a quite little group of deaf people using this warning service. And I asked the people who are not registered why they are not registered, because it's very important for them, but they tell me that it's not user-friendly. It should be a simple way to register to be a part of this warning system and receiving SMS. As I said before, psychiatric treatment is only based in the capital, rest of Denmark. There is no services, and right now they are experiencing problems with waiting lists. Acute situations regarding interpreter. A deaf person can order an interpreter in acute situation right here and now, but we have experienced some situations where they have problems because they need to find out who is going to pay for the interpreter in the situation. In Denmark, in fact, we have so-called sector responsibility. Well, it is sector responsibility, and which means that if something happens regarding the police, you're going to interview with the police, then it's the police department who is responsible, or the Ministry of Justice who has to pay for the interpreter. If something regarding hospital, then it is the Ministry of Health who has the responsibility to pay for the interpreter. So it's the different ministry who has the responsibility for paying the interpreter in relation to the sector responsibility. So when you order an interpreter, you have to know which ministry, in fact, is going to pay for the interpreter in this situation. And we have seen situations where it wasn't possible for the person, because in a specific situation, a deaf person had an accident, serious, not accident, they were in a fight. Some person got injured, and they needed the police, and also needed an ambulance. So they called for an interpreter and an interpreter's office. And they had an interpreter, but they wouldn't send an interpreter out because they need to find out who's going to pay for the interpreter before sending one. And you're seeing the deaf person in the situation trying to get in contact with the police, and when the police accept, yes, they are going to pay for the interpreter, and then going back to the office of the bureau with the interpreter to say, well, we have found out who's going to pay. So it's a stupid process, and it's very tiresome, and it's very difficult. We would like a more simpler, a lot quicker solution for finding out who is going to pay for the interpreting in situations like this. Hospitals, if a deaf person's going to a casualty wards in a hospital, they can have an interpreter, but then again, they need to find out who's going to pay for it, and it's the hospital, the doctors have to evaluate if it's necessary to have a sign language interpreter or not. So it's the hospital or the doctors who evaluate if it's necessary or not. And we have experienced that, in a crisis situation at the hospital, we have a financial crisis in Denmark as well, so the hospitals are also trying to save money, so they say, well, if a deaf person comes and say we need an interpreter, because of financial problems in the hospital, they choose to write to the deaf persons. And we find that unacceptable. It's a lot better if they use sign language interpreter in these situations. Time, I'll try to do it quick. I mentioned it all before, I think. Most important thing is the last one here. We think the professionals need extra knowledge regarding deaf people and sign language. They need a bit more knowledge about it, because for us the most important thing is the need is by the deaf persons themselves. The deaf persons themselves know what they need, what they want. You can't depend on in a catastrophe situation, a crisis situation. You have to offer the deaf people something automatically, because it can't be right that the deaf person has to struggle for it in this situation. It should be something offered to the deaf people on their premises, which we find is very important. But again, the group of deaf people are also very heterogeneous. Some people can talk themselves, some can lip read, but others can't. They are very dependent on sign language interpreters. So the offers for the deaf community should be based on individual needs. Yes, that was fairly short, quick. So I hope that's okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.